Hello and welcome to Manage Your Open Work Orders. Today we got Scott Rockins talking about this crucial element to keeping your business running smoothly. You know, work orders are right in the middle of your inventory management and collecting money. So let's get this discussion started, Scott.
Thanks, Kyle, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Like Kyle said, we're going to talk about this crucial step in your workflow, the work order. Now, it might mean something different to a lot of the different people here in the webinar. So we'll try and be broad about it, and I welcome your comments or questions. I'll keep an eye on those as we go along. Our specific goals for today, a couple things we're going to do really quick is just make sure people have seen what a back order and a special order look like. We're not going to focus on how to do those in full, but just in case you just use one or the other, you might see the differences between the two. We'll look at a way to quickly create a purchase order right from a work order. So a quick way to create a PO from a work order. And we'll talk a little bit about the receiving process and how that interacts with the work orders. So this is actually, part of this has to do with purchase orders as well. And we're going to look at two reports, the list of open work orders, which is a very handy report for closing work orders that are delivered or about to be delivered and changing to accounts receivable. And then we're also going to look at the special orders report, which I didn't get to put on my slides here. So first, we're just going to start. I'll just close this and get out of the way. We're just going to start by looking at a couple work orders. So just in the instance that maybe you don't use work orders, there might be a few people in here. When I'm running a sale, I'm talking about doing a work order like this. So let's just fire one up. Now in Windward, a few things are just important to know about a work order. A work order is considered a work in progress. So it's used for any time that the customer is ordering product from you, and there'll be some sort of wait, either in the product being ordered or in the product being delivered or picked up. And when you put product on a work order, so let's say I I'll put this product on. If you do not have stock of it already, you'll be presented with a pop-up box, much like this. Now we're going to review two different parts of this. And all these little options here are different options you can have on or off. We're going to look at what's a back order look like and what's a special order look like. And we're not going to go through those features from end to end. It's just that they, of course, affect when you can close the work order. So if I special order this product, I can queue that to put on a PO for quorum. And that's what a special order would look like. It'll have SO over here, 1 in your ordered quantity, 0 in your delivered or shipped or picked up quantity. And this will fill in when we receive the PO that product's on. Another scenario that can happen is a back order. So very similar to a work order, but a back order, a special order, I should say, a special order, very similar to a special order. A special order ties a string between the work order, the customer's name, the date it was ordered, the purchase order, the receiving report, back to the work order. So the piece that you've ordered for the customer will be designated and reserved for that customer. So it's great when you want to do that. Whether it's a completely unique product that you'll never order again, or a product that you order all the time, a special order creates that tight link. Very useful in most businesses. However, you might have another product that's more frequently ordered. And when the product arrives on the PO, you might want to choose which customers are going to get it, rather than have it tightly linked to the customer you ordered it for. That's a back order in System 5. That's what we call a back order. And those two, you can see here on the work order, those two things look quite similar. Just a little SO over there. And if I highlight the special order through the first line, and I click my special order box on the right, there's some information about, is this on a PO or not? When's that PO expected? I can see that link between the PO and the work order. Whereas with the special order, there's no link to a PO. One thing you can do to get from the work order stage of things to the purchase order stage of things in a very quick way is to use a couple options here in the work order. So as far as managing your work orders go, this is some tips on how to get the PO written quickly from right here. So if you go into the options and you go into here, you could very quickly create a PO for every special order that's on this work order, even if they're for different vendors, and it'll pop open a PO for all of it. So we'll do that in a moment. If you, however, have a bunch of products that are back ordered, like this one, you can also change those into special orders with this top option. So, and then create the POs. So if you're using special orders, but for one reason or another, you end up with a back order like this, or a whole bunch of them for some reason, then you can quickly convert them to special orders using that option. So again, it's right there. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit create PO for all special orders, and we'll see what it does. The system very quickly opens a PO for quorum and adds this piece to it. And you can see it highlights it in green, and that green link tells you that the special order is linked back to our work order and that customer. I'm just going to send that off. Now, likely for a lot of you, this is review, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that for the moment. Managing this work order has a few other steps. In some businesses, you'll need to take a full deposit here. In some, you'll want to take a partial or no deposit. So I'm just going to take, say, $400, and I'm going to finish this sale. So as these work orders accumulate in your system, one thing that is a little bit problematic is that they build up, and that when the product is picked up or delivered, you need a way to flip those work orders from a work order to an accounts receivable invoice or a cash sale. And that is the procedure when it flips from a W to an A or a W to a C that actually records your revenue and marks the stock as out of your possession and in the hands of the customer. That's how you record your revenue. So that process can break down and you end up with a lot of these. And keeping track of what's delivered and not delivered can be a complex thing. So what we're going to go through here is a few tools that can help you with that business problem. The first of those tools is a report called the list of open work orders. And we're going to spend a fair amount of time with this report today. So to find this report, you're going to go to reports. And you're going to go to sales reports, sales and customer invoice and sales reports. And it's this third one here. Now there's a few ways to run this report in that you can filter it by things like a subtype, or you could have it include this other type of invoice, which we'll talk about a little later in the presentation. I'm going to keep it simple, but usually it makes sense to click item detail on. And I'll run that report. And now you can see this big mess, and you might have a big mess like this too. I've done a lot of special ordering through all the demonstration I've done in this data set. And you can see all these different work orders sitting here. So that means that all these different work orders have not recorded any revenue for me in my books. They're sitting there, all the product on them is, if it's already in my possession, it just looks like reserved for the customer, or a bunch of it looks like it's on order. I've seen customers use this report in two main ways. One group of my customers uses this to determine what they're going to deliver today or tomorrow. So they'll make sure all they're receiving is up to date, and they'll review this list, and they'll see the ones that have blue special orders. So if you look at the legend at the bottom, blue indicates that there's a special order that is ready to ship. Red indicates that there's a special order that is still on order. And you'll notice if I compare these two, the red line, there's a 0 over here, meaning we do not have the quantity to ship yet. The blue ones have a quantity filled. So this particular work order for Devastator here is received. So it's ready for pickup or delivery. And we might use the phone number on the right to place a call to that customer and have them come get it. Or we might be printing off that work order perhaps and handing it to our delivery person, or having someone schedule it on the delivery calendar to arrange for delivery tomorrow or today. Then if we find all the orders that are in that status, we can tick this right here. See if I can find another one. Here's one with no special orders. It's just all ready to go. And how this saves you time is I can tick them off green like this and hit convert up here, and it'll change all of them to accounts receivable invoices. So one group of the customers that I help, they'll use this, they'll flip them to accounts receivable, and then they'll say, please go deliver this, or make sure the customer comes and picks this up. Then the other group of my customers does it the other way around, and that they deliver the product first, and when their delivery team comes back with some evidence of what's been delivered, they'll come in here and say, okay, say this one for Steve Sterry here was delivered. So they'll wait till the delivery's already happened, then they'll convert. So it gives you a fast way, rather than going into every single work order and flipping it to accounts receivable, to flip a group of them at one time, which just saves you a bunch of clicks. It also gives you a place to check on the status of product. Is it still on order or not? And I'm just
Scott, not to mess up your flow here, but there was a question about if there's a way to run this report with who opened the work order or who owns the work order. Is there any customizations that can be done on this?
Yeah, I think so. So if I go, thank you, Kyle. And so is it here? No, but we'll add some things here. I think it's a customize, yeah. So in a lot of our reports in Windward, if you're in the grid, you right click your mouse, you can customize it. I think this has quite a bit. That's the clerk responsible. This is probably all gonna be me. Let's just see here. And I might need to refresh it. Oh, let me try that one more time. Go. All users. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the clerk over there on the right. I see we're already getting some more questions here. Let's have a peek.
Yeah, there was the one about referencing the old work order, but the work order is the same from infancy till you deliver the thing. So even if it's a estimate and then you change it to a W, then you change it to an AR, it's the same number all the way through. Am I right on that?
Yeah, there's unless you're splitting the work order for some reason, like when there's multiple deliveries or pickups, when you're blocking and moving, then or something like that, then there can be two numbers, but they would be the same number with an A or a B at the end of them.
Right.
Yeah, if the customer has paid for it, can you reference the old work order? Well, it will say if there's a balance or not, Kevin. So if it's been paid, it'll be able, you can tell from here. When you receive the purchase order, does it automatically fix the work order quantity column? Yes. So thank you for the question, Kat. Let me show you. So let's go look at the PO I just wrote for my brand new work order. So for quorum here, if I receive this, this is another part to the presentation that doesn't have to do with the list of open work orders, but when the product arrives, how am I staging that for the customer in the warehouse or in the receiving area? One thing a lot of people miss with Windward is that you have the ability when you're receiving, if there's a special order, to print a label. If you're smart enough to set up your labels in advance, shoot. To print a label, or when I hit receive, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to use your imagination here for a minute. If I tick off these boxes when I'm printing my receiving report, I'll just preview it on screen. It's gonna tell me the exact work order that special order came from. And this white box here, that can also be a label. I thought I had my label set up, my apologies. So you could put stickers on things, or you could print out the receiving report and set that aside in your will call area or your staging area for pickup or delivery. And also, to get back to your question, once this is received, this piece, if I refresh this report, so let's go back and regenerate it. And I think it'll be at the bottom. It updates right here that special order has been received. And just, Deb, to go back in time there, to add the clerk, I right-clicked my mouse on the report. This works on lots of reports. I hit customize, and I added it from this list here. If you're having trouble with that, a quick support call will sort you out. You need to customize the grid, is what you'd say. Now you'll also notice that some items on this report are green, like this golf bag. And what that means is that there was a back order on that work order that you can fill because stock has arrived that would be enough to fill that. So if you see these green lines, that means you probably could fill all that. And if I could fill all that, well then I might be ready to deliver. In this case, I'd still have 2 special orders. So it would maybe not get it all done. Now, the thing about back orders as opposed to work orders is that you have to fill them either manually. I'll show you what I mean. Going into the work order for hard hat here. Manually, you can see they're green here as well. Just like that, just pulling the stock that I've already received on a PO, or using a report called the back orders report, which goes through and searches for all the invoices that have a back order for the product and allows you to fill it. So the list of open work orders is a useful tool to see kind of where you're at with your receiving and ordering. And it helps you answer questions from customers that are wondering when their product can be delivered or picked up. And it can help you do things like just make sure that product that is fully received is moving out of your warehouse in a timely fashion. So I've also seen customers who have a problem where their customers will order things, and because they're waiting for a stage of construction, they will not pick them up for months and months and months. And they use this as a sort of pushing tool to push the delivery out. They're phoning people and saying, well, if you don't take this delivery, I'm going to give your product away, or I'm going to bill you extra fees, for people who have this big backlog problem and warehouse space issue. Another report that can be helpful with the special ordering is called the list. Well, it's the special order report. So the way I usually find this is I hit the navigator button right there, because then I get this little search box down here, and I type in special order, and it's under inventory reports. And the special order report is really like it sounds. I can pick a customer, so if the customer calls in and I'm using this report, I can just put their name in, especially for a big contractor, that's helpful. And I can just see all the special orders. And I can check on which PO they're on and whether when they're arriving. And this report also, I can right click and customize, and I can add all these different fields, like the PO, for example. So now I can see which PO that's on, and I can check on that PO. If the customer's asking, when's that going to be in? We're ready for that on this build. So the special order report is another useful tool, and usually how I see this used is just for answering questions. So maybe leave it open and just refresh it, and then when you get that call, like when's this coming, or when can I come get this? If it's a special order and you use special orders all the time, this is a great report to keep tabs on that. I see another. Is there a way to see the clerk info on the daily receiving report? That is a little bit outside of my workflow, Jared, planned today. So let me table that one. And then Jay, you were asking, is there a way to sort the list of open work orders here by date? Well, I don't think so if I have this on. But maybe if I don't have this top one on. So if I do it without the top one, it looks like that. And then you can sort like that. But then you don't see the product detail. So you might have to try it both ways a little bit.
You could also put the date range in there if you if you're just looking for a certain date range.
Yeah, exactly, Kyle. So and the some people also, if you're using the delivery calendar, which means that the delivery date would be populated, you can use the planned deliveries to help you make sure that you've got the product you need for those deliveries already and that you can fulfill, or to plan if you've got a big backlog of work orders that are all ready to go, they're all sitting in will call or in the shipping area, you can use this to sort of plan what you're going to ship that day.
Yeah, a couple of things of note on this report that I've just noticed during you talking is that salesperson drop down, that could be really useful if you are one of those salespeople that is responsible for making sure that your items get delivered. So that's an interesting way to handle that, or workflow. And then the other thing that you mentioned earlier was you could do this by subtype as well. So yeah, if your workflow was to have like a staged for delivery subtype, then at the end of every day, you could just run that subtype and click on all of them that actually got delivered and convert them all at once.
Yeah, like that, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Kyle. So quite a bit of different ways you can customize that report. Okay, let me just check in on the questions here. Does it show who put things on special order or back order? That's a very good question. So, whoops. What did I change here? Oh, it's George. It's too bad. Okay. All work orders. What did I do here? Just turn these all back on. There we go. This report, I do not think, unless I drill in, it's going to tell me who put products onto the work order. But this was the clerk of the work order, so it's most likely that person. Although it could be a different person, I guess. On the special order report, I think we might have more luck because this is line by line. And if I customize this grid, you can also add the salesperson. You have commission salespeople set up. So you can have the clerk and the salesperson. It's going to be one of those two people that added the special order. But I don't know if there's a way to tell who exactly clicked the line from these reports, though it is tracked in the work order. There's a way to find it in the work order. Joseph, there is a recording of this available. Oh, there he goes. So for a follow, oh, I see what you're saying, Kevin. So when something arrives, then you know who to notify. They know which customer to notify. So really what I think you want to do there is use, when one of these is ready, you're probably just going to use this clerk here. And like Kyle just mentioned, probably you could run this and say, Dora, these are the people that you've helped that we have products that we're going to ship for. So if you want to give them a call, or maybe Dora manages this report.
And this might be out of the scope of this conversation, but there is an automation that can happen when you receive an item. It can automatically change a subtype to item arrived or something like that. So
Yeah.
a different way to handle that altogether.
Well, I wonder if I have that on. So I do. So here's our work order. Right here, we wrote for Jim. And when I received it, this is what Kyle's talking about, it put an R on the end. So that means the product on this order, the special order product, is received, and it was automatically filled here. Okay, this is, I see another question here that's a little, it's not what I had planned, but it's definitely a work order question. So I want to tackle this one if I can. So thank you, Terrence. Terrence is asking, is there a way to add labor or product items to multiple work orders at the same time? For example, if we have a technician timesheets that tell us all the different jobs they worked on in a given day. No, there's not a way to add lines to multiple invoices all at one time. Can you tell me a little more about, like, are you adding the technician labor after you wrote the work order? Are you using technician tracking in the system, in software? Terrence? I go back to, here, let's open up a work order. I probably have that turned on. I may not have that set up. Oh yeah, so I'll say, are you using that, Terrence? So the best way to add that, I mean, is to have your technicians using the work orders themselves. If your technicians are running paper and you're having someone re-enter all this stuff, and I know a lot of businesses still operate that way, the big move in the right direction there is to consider having technicians perform work in the software. I've seen that done by using tablets, and a lot of people will tell me, oh, my technicians aren't tech savvy enough to do that, but I have seen very sort of salt of the earth tradesmen learn to use an iPad to add this sort of detail to their work order. Just, they did have to have training sessions. That's why I met them, because we were doing that. And it did take time for them to adapt to it, but they got there. And then they had way more detail and way more accuracy and way more accountability in their business, Terrence. It really helped. In fact,
yeah, it's just you're getting paid for the work that's getting done because they're hitting start and they're hitting stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and what they actually did in that business to get the accountability from the technicians is they made the technicians commission. So they get their wage and they get a commission for upselling services, and they get a commission on their time instead of a wage. They got a base wage and then they got a commission based on the number of hours they'd worked. So it was a very interesting strategy that they used. It was pretty cool. This may be, thanks, Jared. So Jared's asking, Terrence, I'm curious which industry you work in, if you don't mind popping that in. Jared's asking, this may be off topic, but also, is there a way to see what work order a part number is committed to?
So you'd be starting from the part itself, I'm assuming, in this.
Yeah. Is it, if it's, I guess that's going to be, if we're from the part, then yep. Here, I don't know which part I should use. Should have looked. I usually use things that start with a 5. So it's something that's, let's just try one. To do that, I'd go to the sales history here. And then I would make sure work orders are on. And in my case, I'll put all departments. And then run the history report. And then so there you'd see the different work orders where this product has been.
At a glance
placed.
on just the inventory tab there as well. You should be on the work orders, right? Or is that just a number?
It's just a number over here.
On work order, it says 1.
Yeah, and so this is one thing that commonly happens to people is that they miss a work order somewhere, and this 1 is stuck there for a long time, or it's 10 or it's 100 on there, and because they've got lurking work orders.
Yeah, that's not linked to anything though. If you double click on that, it's just a tally, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you got to go in the sales history here.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, the purchase orders tab can be helpful for that too. What am I trying to say here? The only other topic we didn't cover as much here is the back orders, which do work slightly differently than the special orders. So I'll just touch on this before we sort of wrap things up today. There's also, if you're using back orders instead of special orders, which is, again, the best way, the whole debate about which one is really the best to use, but it depends on the situation. So here under inventory and purchases, in the reports, there's this back orders report. So when I use the back order approach, I either have to go to each work order and choose after I receive to fill those back orders manually from stock, or I can run this report either by a certain part number, by a specific customer, and I can choose, let's see what it brings up for me, which back orders to fill with the received product. So the special order really highlights things that are specifically for one person, and usually also used for things that are super specific, like really customizable product. And then the back order is better for things that are more of a commodity based, but you've got people waiting. and you want to be able to choose to fill your contractor's orders, say, before your homeowner's orders, or steal something from your contractor who's going to make you sit on that product for 2 months and give it to a homeowner who just walked in and reorder it for the contractor. And we're running out of time today, guys. So there's a couple good questions here, and I think there might be one person who's got their hand up but hasn't typed their question in. So Marge or Margot, if you could type in your question for me, that'd be helpful. And Carol, let me try this before we close up today. How do you do a return on a work order that hasn't been ordered yet, but the customer has paid for it? So it's not on a PO yet, Carol?
That's the assumption I'm making on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's find a work order. Okay, so like this is currently at the back order. And here, let's mock this up. Am I paid up? I'm paid up. So like this, I've got this on back order. And the customer is saying, okay, well, I'm not paid up. Let's do that. So now I have no balance. But let's say that this ends up getting canceled. You can't get on the PO, and you want to do the customer wants to return this. I would delete that and refund a negative amount. Like say I put it back on their debit card. Oops. I clicked a little fast there, sorry. But that, here, too many tabs open. Let's go back to that. That's a little more complicated if you've got a whole bunch of product on there though, I think. Might be what you're getting at. Oh, sorry, my two monitors are messing with me here. Okay, here we go. So that's all the time we have for today. I did want to just put a little bit of emphasis on this upcoming in-person event that we're having in Texas. We're going to go through inventory and accounting topics, how to count, how to reconcile, end of day, end of month, end of year. We're going to do some demonstration of the Sidekick product, and there'll be chances to ask questions. This is a great two-day event we've done quite a few times, although not in recent years for lots of reasons. Excited to see you there if you're coming, and we'd love to see you there if you haven't planned to join us yet. You can.
Yeah, there's an agenda on that windwardsoftware.com events page as well.
What happened there?
So if you can pull that up too. But yeah, we've got about 10 seats left for that event. So it's almost sold out.
So just bear with me a moment.
Sorry, I should have had that ready to go for you.
Me too. So here's where you can buy this on our website, along with and a basic agenda there. We have a more full agenda though elsewhere, don't we, Kyle?
Yeah, if you go to windwardsoftware.com/events. Oop, I think you had a space in there. There you go. No,
Windward Software. What have I done here? We can do this.
You put it in search instead of in the bar up top, or on the bar up top. There we go.
Yeah.
And then if you click down just a little bit, there is an agenda that's downloadable. We're gonna be going to a basketball game too. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So there's a more detailed agenda of what's going on. And we're going to talk about the special orders and the back orders in more detail there. So this was sort of a lead into that. That's helpful for everybody, but we're going to go into that in more detail, as well as things like reorder points and a lot of great stuff. Oh, question about the event. Should we get there early? Is it business attire? Good question. Is it business attire? Do we need to bring notebooks and stuff?
I've got some notebooks that we'll be bringing for you. So no need for that. We'll have pens, notebooks, that kind of thing. We'll be providing the breakfast and lunch, and then we'll be going to that basketball game. And then on the second day, we'll get breakfast and then a grab and go lunch for those that need to go and travel. So for us, we're going to be arriving on Monday to do some setup on Tuesday. But yeah, you would want to definitely probably arrive on Tuesday for the Wednesday and Thursday show. And some people will be traveling on Thursday, and others will be in the night too.
Yeah, looking forward to it. One last question here that I think could apply to a lot of the group. So, is there a good contact email or number we can use for educational type questions that we aren't able to find in the help guides? So yes, Jared, and the main answer to your question is if you just have a quick question, then it's just support@windwardsoftware.com. It's the tech support team. And if you have also your account manager might be another contact for you. If you need more assistance, like you're going through some sort of business change or you're implementing a new feature set that you never implemented in the past, and you need some consultation on that, then my team does a lot of that. That's we either help people get set up or we do consulting. And what you'd probably want to do is arrange a training package. You can purchase those through our website here at sales@windwardsoftware.com or through your account manager, and you can buy consulting services by the hour. Typically, if it's a very small question, a tech support call will sort you out. If it's a longer, more involved question, you may want to get someone from professional services involved for a few hours to help you pick your right path. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Looking forward to seeing many of you at the in-person event.
Thanks, everyone.